to get there. We heard this morning again at the conference that some students are moving more quickly through content. Some students need some more time. We can vary the pace because the information that they need is always on, 24/7, 365. I'm also a big proponent of summer learning. We have one of the longest summer vacations of any industrialized nation. If you tell educators from other countries that we have about 180 days, is that right here in Tacoma, about 180-day school year? Most countries have at least 200 days a year, at least another 4 weeks of school. So that's partly what holds us back. If you look at the research on summer learning loss, you see that we have to reteach things. We're wasting time. We're reteaching in September what students already knew in June. This is true of all students in math in particular. For some reason, we don't do much math during the summer. The summer learning loss, there's a difference between middle income and lower income families around reading. Middle income families, college educated families, valuing reading, valuing taking their kids to libraries, having them continue to read books. So the summer learning loss diverges between higher income and lower income, higher education, lower education around reading, but all students decline in math. So we've got to do something about that, and I hope as you think about what could be done to really elevate learning in this region, think about the summer as a third semester for learning. These are the 6 edges of innovation I talk about. I won't go into great detail about them. I've mentioned the role of technology, expanding learning time and places. You can be learning in museums and libraries and national parks. I'm especially interested in anyone who wants to help our national parks celebrate their centennial. I'm serving on a National Park System Advisory Board. The national parks will turn 100 in 2016. In 2015, you'll see a lot of publicity about this. Great advertising in New York is developing a communications campaign. You'll see lots of stories, many of them featuring young people learning in national parks, learning about history, learning about climate change, environmental education. You'll see them learning in the national parks and also through online. If you go to nps.gov, nationalparkservice.gov/teachers, you will see a new education portal full of lesson plans to help you learn about the more than 400 national park sites around this country. I always want to include this about the multiple ways in which we're smart, the multiple ways in which kids learn, because again, there's always the issue of just thinking that it's all about verbal and all about math. But the other 6 intelligences, including the naturalist intelligence, can support the learning of verbal skills, can support the mathematical skills, as we've seen from that opera segment, by learning about visual, musical, bodily kinesthetic movement. We can help support kids learning in language arts and in math. Here's a slide that shows what happens when we focus too narrowly on verbal and math only. We are more than the sum of our SAT scores, and I hope Frederick Jones also had, I'm sure he had other intelligences besides just what he did on his verbal and math SAT. The growth versus fixed mindset. Many educators are now familiar with, and it's amazing how these ideas and these concepts have diffused throughout our national conversation very quickly. Carol Dweck at Stanford developed this idea of having a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset about our own learning and about the learning of our students. There's a long history for those of you who are students want to look at the history of expectations, teachers' expectations about their students. Expectations are very powerful because we have a way of making our behavior come in line with our expectations. One of my favorite examples of this research goes back to the 1960s, where a professor did a research study in Chicago and told the teachers, we're from Harvard and we've done this study, we've evaluated your students, and some of them in the 4th grade are just primed to accelerate their learning this year. And some of them are not going to do very well. So we are giving you this information so hopefully you can teach them and help them all to learn. Well, by the end of the year, guess which students were accelerating their learning and which students were lagging behind? Those students that the teachers had been told would ready to accelerate versus lag behind. But in fact, those students were picked randomly. The teacher's expectations of those students influenced how they behaved towards those students. Think about it. If you think someone's going to do well, is gifted, is smart, is going to do well in science, you as the teacher will invest more in them. If they didn't get it the first time, you'll say, well, they're going to get it eventually. I'll try a different way of teaching them. I'll give them a different experience. I know they're going to get it at some point. If you think they're not going to do well, you have a fixed mindset about them, then you'll behave towards them in a way that makes that come true. You'll say, well, they didn't get it when I explained it. That's because they weren't going to get it anyway. So you invest less in them, you try different things, you don't try different things, and that expectation, even though it's false, comes to pass. This is Carol Dweck's Mindset website. And as she teaches students, she's done this with math students, just to tell them, all of you can be good at math. It's a matter of effort. And when you learn, your brain gets activated. She tells them, your brain is like a muscle. And students understand that because she says, if you exercise your brain, it'll get stronger. And they understand that about their other muscles, they begin to understand that about their brain. When she has trained them in their math class, just with that growth mindset for themselves, they actually do better on the math exams. The thinking edge relates to new roles, and I said this morning, we need to redefine some of these roles, so maybe think about redefining your own roles as teachers. Some new schools, when they get a chance, don't even call themselves a school, they call themselves a learning center, a community learning center. That communicates something very different from the traditional idea of a school. The teachers in these places call themselves mentors or coaches. The students are called team members rather than students. When you're a team member, you're part of a team, you're asked to contribute to a team. Students who play sports understand this instinctively, and they apply that to their own academic learning. There's so many aspects to the curriculum edge. I wish I had more time, and I said today I'd love to do an Edutopia film festival with you. Maybe we can do this online. I'll give you 5 short film segments like the one we saw today to look at, and we can have an online conversation about this. Social emotional learning, SEL. Great research supporting the idea that SEL can contribute to students' academic learning. It comes as a new idea in many circles. But when you give attention to students' social and emotional skills, these are skills that can be taught. These are not just a matter of personality, of temperament, the student's background, their family, their community. These are skills that can be taught. Students can be taught to communicate better, to be more respectful of each other, to collaborate better in teams, because teamwork is the new paradigm for this kind of work. These are skills that can be taught. And the meta-analysis on SEL shows that it is more powerful than anything else that we've tried. On average, an 11-point increase in test scores when students are exposed to the idea of social and emotional learning. Resolving conflict, learning to communicate, and we've got some great films about that as well. But it's one of my favorite examples of changing this curriculum edge. My colleague Roger Weisberg at the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. Please look up their website. It's casel.org. Roger explains this, and he's a co-author on the meta-analysis. And often what he hears from educators is that, well, this sounds good, but the plate is full. We're trying to do, it's Common Core implementation and new assessments. We're trying to use technology. The plate's full already. We can't really try something new. We can't add something to the plate. And Roger Weisberg likes to say, perhaps I wasn't clear. This is the plate. This is what you need to do to be successful on all those other things you're trying to do. The Common Core implementation, new types of assessment, deeper learning. Unless students have these skills, they will not be successful on what you're trying to achieve academically. This is one of my favorite projects from our website, Students Who Design a Hybrid Car. One of the things we're learning with project-based learning is that kids can do things that you didn't expect they could do. I learned this at Sesame Street, that kids could learn the preschool curriculum, could learn the kindergarten curriculum at an earlier age. When Sesame Street first started, part of the curriculum for 3-year-olds was to learn to count from 1 to 10. That was it. And kindergarten teachers said, well, that'll never work. We're having trouble teaching them that in kindergarten. The evaluation of Sesame Street showed that indeed kids could learn to count from 1 to 10, from 1 to 20. Now the curriculum goal for 3-year-olds is to learn to count from 1 to 40. Same thing with our website. On our website, you will see students, 8th graders who seem like they're doing high school level work, 4th graders who seem like they're doing 6th or 7th grade level work. High school students in West Philly, if any of you have ever had a chance to visit West Philly, you probably did not get out of your car. These students designed and built a biodiesel hybrid vehicle and won a competition against college students. If they're given the right experiences, they can do this work far above what we think they can. I may not have time to show you this, but I just wanted to use this slide to say, this community in the Seattle, Tacoma area has a number of stories that we've profiled at Edutopia. You've had some great teachers. Eva Reeder, I want to pay tribute to her and honor her memory. She passed away a couple years ago. A great project-based learning teacher and coach in this region. She developed a project where students in 10th grade designed schools of the future. They were in a standard 10th grade geometry class, but used the last 5 weeks to design a future school. These students had been in school for what, 11 years. They had a lot of ideas about what a school should look like. So they were mentored by architects. That ideas, as we saw with the opera singers, working with the teachers, co-teaching. That's part of one of the edges of innovation. In this case, it was school architects. Call them up if you want to do this project. Call up the Wise Miller firm, because in this film you'll see them, and they're there working with these students to help them design in an architectural competition schools of the future. These are architects who love working with high school students. In fact, in the film they say the reason we do this is because we get a lot of good ideas from them. And we've won competitions to build real schools based on the ideas that these high school students have given us. Wise Miller, architectural firm. I also mentioned this afternoon, the redesign of AP courses for project-based learning. This was done with the University of Washington. This was done in Bellevue and Sammamish High School. One of the former students was in this. She can attest to this course because she took it. We redesigned an AP American Government and Politics class for project-based learning. Very much a textbook-based class. You're reading through the chapters. The team at University of Washington designed 6 project cycles, including a legislative simulation online where the students became a member of Congress. They did better on the AP than the textbook-based classes, and they did much better on the measures of deeper learning, interest in civics, interest in government, wanting to vote, wanting to become an active citizen. Those are the real measures that count, but they also did much better on the AP as well. We also had a hypothesis during this experiment that if we had project-based learning as part of this course, would that encourage more students, and maybe students who didn't thrive in the textbook-based curriculum, to want to do AP? And in fact, that turned out to be true as well. Here's our social emotional learning content, and please check it out. You can just find it at SEL and Edutopia. I call this weapons of mass instruction. Now is the time when we can do this. We've been covering one-to-one programs going back 10 years. This was very expensive. Laptops costing $1,000, $1,500 more than 10 years ago. We've covered the Maine laptop program, which was the first state, and I think still the only state, it's a smaller state granted, still the only state where you can go in and every middle school student has a laptop computer. They started 10 years ago. We said we better cover this because it's going to spread like wildfire. But it took 10 years to get to the point, maybe 6 starting in 2010, where a lot of districts started saying, we need to take the textbook money, we need to have a technology levy, we now want to move towards digital learning and every student having a weapon of mass instruction. Please check out this project because it uses the iPod, not the iPad, the iPod starting in 2006 to record students reading. Just the simple act of recording and playing back as many times as you want to do it as a student helps them learn the language. They're reading digital text and you can tell the student has attached a little microphone onto the iPod. And she's recording it. These readings are uploaded to an iTunes playlist. Students can listen to themselves. When you first hear yourself read, you immediately want to get better at it. Parents can listen to their kids read. It sets up this cycle of improving reading, this virtuous cycle of parents, students, and teachers working together to improve their reading. A quick set of websites that I find to be amazing. This is Bugscope. One of the very first films we made was of a project, again going back about 15 years ago, in San Diego, where students were able to collect insects and send them to a nearby university and connect online. Back then, it was through a very expensive fiber optic cable connection between these students in San Diego and San Diego State University. They were able to talk with entomologists online, and the entomologists put their insects under their scanning electron microscope so they could see this. This was what we now call broadband. They could see their insects under very high magnification. And people said, wow, that is really great for them. That'll never be us. This was probably 1997. About 3 years later, the National Science Foundation funded the University of Illinois to do just that, to put their scanning electron microscope online so anyone, anywhere, here in Tacoma, you can do this. This is an older slide, but you can collect insects, send them to Illinois, and schedule time with their scientists, even better with their graduate students, even some of their undergraduate entomology majors who may only be 4, 6, 8 years older than your students. And you can see your insects under their scanning electron microscope. This is partly what the internet is now doing, putting scientific instruments online, telescopes, microscopes, so students can have the very same experience that professional scientists are having. It's amazing. School to Home is a project, and I won't show you this video, but again, a great example of how we can use language translation to help Spanish-speaking parents now understand what the school is trying to do. For so long, we've not been able to do that. They use Google Translate to translate all the documents. Sometimes the teachers will be speaking in English, and it'll take that text, turn it into English, and then translate into, again, up to 60 different languages. So I'm especially excited about the role of language translation online. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better. And in this film for School to Home, which is a project in California, it's a one-to-one project in middle schools in California, you will hear Spanish-speaking parents say, now for the first time, I'm able to understand what's going on in the classroom, and I'm able to help my student at home. Journey North, citizen science. You can make observations of all sorts of species, including the monarch butterfly coming through the state of Washington this spring. You can go online, observe the monarch butterfly, log your observations, and you'll see a map. And I'm sure if you went to Journey North and looked for the monarch butterfly or for the hummingbirds, you'll see observations being made in this region by students and by adult citizen scientists. We did a film about it. That's the look you want of your students. I could try to describe it in words, but that's the look you want of interest, of curiosity, of passion for that monarch butterfly coming out of its chrysalis. The art project by Google. You're all familiar with Google Street View. You've gone online and tried to see your apartment, your home on Google Street View, right? Tried to see if your car was parked on the street when they came through. The folks at Google said, you know, we can do a lot more with this. Let's take Google Street View technology and instead of cars, let's put it on bicycles and ride it up and down the galleries of the world's greatest art museums. It's amazing. You can, please check